Dilly the body snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So yesterday, or 24 hours ago now, I asked you all the question here on YouTube on the community post in the form of a poll that should they create an undisputed title for Fury and Joshua. And when I say they, I'm talking the four major sanctioning bodies: WBC, WBA, WBO and IBF, because they're the four belts that you need to become undisputed. The Ring Magazine is a bonus belt, okay? And anything else is also a bonus, such as the IBO. Now, 4.2 thousand of you took to that vote, so thank you very much for your input on it, and of course some of the comments within that poll as well, which I'll get into in a second. 68% of you said yes, they should create it. 32% of you said no, they should not. Now, I consider that pretty close. I know 68 to 32 is quite a margin, but when 32% of people say no, that's a good chunk of people saying no. If it was like 10% saying no, hey, it's a pretty one-sided victory, isn't it? But I consider this quite close. Now, a lot of people, they presumed that when I'm talking about an undisputed belt, as in a trophy cabinet kind of belt, a trinket belt, as in the winner gets awarded this belt, they put it in their cabinet, that's it, it's done with. No, not a special occasion belt. If they want to do a special occasion belt, which I'm sure the WBC will probably be straight on that one, because the WBC, they like to create their Cinco de Mayo belts, the exhibition belts. They even put their belt in the Rocky movie and the Creed movies and whatever else. Because the WBC and their president, Mauricio Sullivan, he does like to put his face on camera and promote his brand. As much as cringeworthy as it is, that's what he's doing. He's promoting his boxing brand. If the other ones are not doing it, well, that's on them, isn't it? But the truth is, I find it cringy when the WBC do that. And quite a few comments saying, well, how can you say that that's what they should be creating when you've numerously said time and time again that you are against all the trinket belts? Much like I've just said with the WBC ones. Many, like the WBA, they create a regular title as opposed to the super title, and they have a global champion and they have a gold champion. Well, the WBO have a global champion, and they have international champions and European WBO versions and this, that and the other. And there's so many different variations of international belts and whatever else. There's way too many of them, way too many of them, and I stand by that. Okay, so what I was suggesting, well, firstly, I wasn't really suggesting anything. I just wanted to see what you guys were going to say to it. But the point is, and one of the reasons why I did the poll is because a lot of people over the last couple of months now, ever since this fight has been really taking up steam, and especially for it being undisputed, is that one of the things is that the winner will not be allowed to defend the undisputed crown. So as much as the winner of the first fight will then become official undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, they're not going to be able to defend the undisputed crown. Because as we know, or as we're hearing at least, while nothing is officially confirmed, Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk, when they fight, as much as it will be for a WBO interim world heavyweight title, the winner of that fight will very soon be elevated to full WBO world heavyweight champion. In other words, the winner of the first Fury Joshua fight will be stripped of that belt, which is why the rematch is very unlikely that it's going to be for undisputed. But even if they don't do it at that point, at some point it's going to happen. All four of these major sanctioning bodies are going to want their mandatory obligation fulfilled. The WBC, the WBA, the WBO and the IBF do not work together. Each one is their own business. They don't care. For them, they are the most important sanctioning body. They are the number one in their own mind, okay? So they don't care. Say the WBO don't care what the WBC, the WBA and the IBF are doing. The IBF don't care what the WBC, WBA and WBO do. I know I'm kind of speaking alphabet here, but the point is they don't care about any of that. They're not going to work together. They'll work together for this one fight because it's a huge money-making opportunity for them. Why would you not want to be a part of it? Okay, the WBC, they keep on creating all their franchise belts. You know, Mauricio Sullivan and the WBC are currently, right now, designing and creating a belt for this occasion. And it's going to be cringy. You know it's going to be cringy, which is why I suggested an undisputed belt. You could argue the fact that they never done it for Terence Crawford when he beat Julius Ndongo. Yes, you could argue the fact that Clarissa Shields who's a 2-weight division undisputed champion. She never got one. Katie Taylor, she hasn't got one. So why would Fury Joshua have one? I fully get that. I fully get that. And maybe they should in future. So I'm not talking about creating a belt that is on line with a franchise belt. I'm not saying that at all. And I know a lot of people saying, well, if you're champion, then you should defend against your mandatories. That's what makes you a champion going forward. Yes, but you can't defend all those belts when you are undisputed, when all of the sanctioning bodies are knocking on your door. You can't fight all 4 mandatories in one night. You can't do it. You can't do it within a couple of week period. Could you really do it within a 1 year period? Maybe, but they're going to be very busy, aren't they? Very, very busy. But the truth is, that's why I was asking about an undisputed belt, because a lot of you were saying that it's unfair that the winner of Fury Joshua is not going to be allowed to defend their undisputed crown. So when they walk to the ring for the rematch, they're not going to be announced as undisputed heavyweight champion. They're going to be announced as former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But there will be the consensus. Number 1, of course, they're going to have the Ring Magazine belt and the official title of Lineal. So maybe call it the Undisputed Lineal belt, for example, one that can be defended and one that should be carried on, because we talk about Lineal many times, and I know many channels go quite deep into it, which is something that I don't really do. But Lineal, there's no physical belt for it. It's just an invisible belt. It's just a title is what it is. There's no physical belt to it. So maybe create the Lineal, so that's the one that you can actually trace and defend. Okay? And I know people say, but Tyson Fury is lineal. Well, the truth is he's not. That's the truth of it. And by the way, I'm quite happy for him to be lineal, okay? Of course, he's a fellow Brit. But the truth is he isn't. The last lineal heavyweight champion is Lennox Lewis. Even then, it's a contentious point, isn't it? Because the line has been broken quite a few times. Vladimir Klitschko was awarded lineal. Tyson Fury, of course, beat Vladimir Klitschko. And then Tyson Fury, his next fights were against Tyson Fury and Francisco Pianetta. You can't really defend a lineal against either of these guys, because what happened if Tyson Fury or Francisco Pianetta beat Tyson Fury? Would they be lineal? No, of course not. And kind of the rules, quite who makes up the rules, I don't know, because there is no overseeing monarch, should we call it, overseeing the lineal. Okay, there's nobody that you report to. But the consensus pretty much is the next lineal champion should be undisputed. So when it comes to Joshua and Fury Joshua, the winner of that fight will then be legitimate lineal heavyweight champion of the world. And I know some Tyson Fury fans won't want to hear me saying that, because they want everyone to think that he is truly lineal. Hey, maybe he is, I don't know. But in my opinion, not really. Not until he becomes undisputed. Yes, he's won every belt that there ever has been in the heavyweight division, granted. So if anybody deserves to be current lineal, it's probably Tyson Fury, okay? But it is what it is. So maybe create a lineal belt that can be defended. And of course, incorporate the Ring Magazine. Some people in the comments were saying how maybe the winner should just dispose of all the belts and walk around with the Ring Magazine belt. Yeah, you could do that, and I have no problem with that. It's a Rocky Balboa belt, right? It's the belt that people will consider the people's champion, the true champion. The one who walks around with the Ring Magazine, that's how people see it. But again, with the Ring Magazine, they don't have mandatories, okay? So the winner of that belt can literally fight anybody that they want. And there's nobody going to tell them that you can't. I know there's a kind of rule where you do have to fight somebody within their kind of top 10, should we call it. But whoever's number 2 behind the champion, or number 1 behind the champion, isn't going to be ordered to fight the champion. The champion could defend it against number 10 position each and every time they fight. So basically, they may never actually lose that belt. There's no force behind it. That's the problem. That is the major problem with the Ring Magazine belt. But I understand, and I have no problem with the winner walking around as that champion. But this is why I suggested that maybe if they did create a belt, don't call it no WBC franchise bollocks, or WBO International, WBO European, or a WBO Global, or a WBA Gold, or a WBA Regular, or any of these kind of international bollocks ones. The official undisputed crown should be defendable. It should be for the lineal champion to defend the lineal. So there is literally a physical belt that you defend. That's my point. And maybe the Ring Magazine should get involved with the other 4 sanctioning bodies. to say this is it. But again, I know some people say, but then it's creating another belt. It is creating another belt, and I fully get that point. But that kind of belt would not be in line with the complete bollocks ones that the WBC create time and time again. Or the WBO and the WBA especially, in fact the IBF, they kind of do it in small part. They're not innocent, not at all, but they're probably the less guilty of the four, aren't they, with the belts that they have. But either way, an undisputed belt that can be defended, because it is unfair that the winner of that fight is not going to be able to defend that undisputed crown. In theory, yeah? Anyway, that's my thoughts on it all. Of course, you drop me yours. Click a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.